We know there's a lot of confusion about British Sign Language. And what the three of us here are doing is looking at how deaf people themselves use their own language.
to Signs of Life.
If you look more closely, you will see that most of the jobs are the dirty jobs that no one else really wants.
Next week, there will be no Sounds of Life.
It's you and me. Together we'll fight for equality.
It began by discovering that hearing people had really stolen deaf history. And as long as there are deaf people, there'll be sign language, there'll be deaf storytelling, there'll be deaf culture.
Through my research, I had to look at what deaf meant. Was it negative, medical, or positive, sign, creative? Oppression deflates a person, but through self-exploration and discussion, we learn to appreciate ourselves.